To Matchpoint Canada, the official podcast of Tennis Canada, and this week, the official podcast of the National Bank Open. I'm Ben Lewis alongside Mike McIntyre. We're so happy to be joined by Canadian tennis player Genie Bouchard. Genie, thanks so much for coming back on the podcast.
Of course. I feel like it's been a long time, hasn't it?
Well, you told us the first time you were with us here that this was the first podcast you ever recorded. So it's going back a few years, I guess, right?
This must have been, what, 2019?
Something like that.
I think so, yeah.
We're 17. It was one of the years in Toronto, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've been on a few podcasts since then, I guess.
Yeah, now I do podcasts all the time. I can't believe I actually said that one day.
Well, we're thrilled to have you
I guess it was
back.
a first for everything.
Yep.
Now, listen, I want to ask you about your recent time in D.C. where you're doing a lot of hosting and interviews on court afterwards. And, we need to learn from you because what's the secret in doing a perfect tennis interview? Because you were getting the best reactions out of those players on court.
I'm a newbie at that. That was my first time doing player interviews, which I found really interesting because I've done obviously the broadcasting and the commentary on TV and that stuff. But to actually come up with questions and ask questions was a totally different skill set, I guess. And to do it live on the court, I was very nervous. But I'm happy to challenge myself and try new things. I mean, most players are really when they see another fellow player interviewing them, I think they totally let their guard down. And I know all of them. And so it's they already get into a goofy mood just because they know it's funny that a player's interviewing a player.
Yeah.
And it just feels a lot less serious and more casual. And so I think immediately I have that advantage. Let's say if instead of one of you guys wanted to interview them, you'd have a bit of a harder time.
It's never going to happen. Pro tennis player? No, not for me.
So I had that already. And then I think it's just fun to, normal questions are fine, but I like to ask a little more.
Not take it too seriously.
Yeah, and more different or interesting questions. I asked Francis, how many ticket requests he had for his night in DC. And apparently the number is literally over 100.
Oh, wow.
And I was I don't even ask for that when I'm in Montreal. And what are you doing?
Well, you will next time, I guess.
Right. But it's yeah, I know now, but even Mark Ein, the owner, was no, they have to start paying at some point. This is getting ridiculous. So just kind of asking more detailed, quirky stuff, I think makes for a fun time.
Right on.
We should ask you just about maybe your memories going back, coming to this tournament. It's been a number of years. I guess when you step back at the National Bank Open, whether it's Toronto or Montreal, do memories kind of come flooding back to you to days as a junior and watching stars at this tournament and dreaming of becoming one yourself?
Yeah, well, as a fan, I went to the Montreal one, so I never came to the Toronto one as a fan. But memories specifically in Toronto are, my first main draw wildcard happened to be the year in Toronto. I lost to Petkovic 2-2 first round, but she was highly ranked, so that was a good result, and I was 17.
Welcome to the big times.
Yeah, it's I was close with her. It was 1-1, 2-2, and then completely gone. But you got to go through those processes to kind of get through the grind. It doesn't come overnight, right? So you got to go through those matches. But it's so special. I mean, playing a tournament in Canada is always unique. I always have family and friends around. I always have the Canadian fans who don't get to see me often live in person, and I know it's special for them, and that just makes it special for me.
I don't know if you're the kind of person to look back too often, but it's been 10 years this summer since your big run at Wimbledon. And Ben and I talk about that season for you all the time as still standing up, I think, as the strongest season at a major in singles play from a Canadian ever, 2 semifinals, a final in the 4th round at the U.S. Open. Did you sort of remember this summer, hey, it's been 10 years, and what did that moment mean for you when you look back on it now?
Yeah, well, I've gotten reminded of it a few times, so because of that reason, I'm wow, okay, stop telling me it's been 10 years. Jeez. Yeah, it's crazy to think it's been so long, but at the same time, I feel I've lived so much life as well in this kind of crazy lifestyle where I don't know, everything feels quite compacted. I feel I've had a 10-year career. I turned pro when I was 15-year career, but it feels like a 30-year career. You know what I mean? It's so hectic. So it feels that long, but also not. Yeah, it was such a special year for me. I mean, I can't believe I didn't win Canadian Athlete of the Year. I totally got snubbed that year.
Who took it from you?
Still mad about it, like a bobsledder.
Oh, man. Okay.
Because there was the Winter Olympics in 2014.
Yes, that's right.
I'm not going to say anything more on that.
That's very fair. Obviously, the Wimbledon memory is special for you. Tonight, as we record this, you get to celebrate something very special as well. Billie Jean King Cup title. Just how special was it to be a part of that team? And where are you maybe going to rank this one in terms of career accomplishments?
It was really such a special week. I don't think anyone, we always obviously all believed in ourselves and we all have that belief and we all work hard, but like you never really expect to totally win. And then it just happened and we were all in the zone every single day and had this like inner confidence, but not too much to the point where you're like feeling cocky and you're like overly confident, but more of like just a quiet confidence all week. And we just put our head down and went to work. And I mean, I've played on the BJK Cup team since I was 17 years old. So I've played so many times in the craziest places, Colombia and Slovenia and like you name it. I've been there to play for Canada and I'm always so proud to play for my country. And so to finally get a win after all these years for the first time in history, I mean, it was crazy. It was surreal. It really felt like we were living like a dream. And I'm glad that everyone in Canada like appreciates how hard it is to do that and how big of a win it was. And so to get a little special ceremony tonight is nice.
Well, we remember what Canadian tennis was like and not having moments like this and playing in all sorts of different zones of the competition as well. And it was great to see you there because of all you've done for Canadian tennis as well. I know you're going to be rushing off to that ceremony shortly. So
it's after Bianca's match, so we have time.
Oh, well, then we're just getting going.
They just told us, so
okay.
We're going to have to watch her. Hopefully she doesn't pull a classic 3-setter Bianca match, and then we're good to go.
Okay, well, that makes me feel
Layla's
less
still playing
less
doubles,
pressure here.
So.
All right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I was wondering if she was going to have to miss it because of the doubles match.
Well, no. I mean, that defeats the whole purpose, right? So.
Excellent. Well, then, take us back to your first... No, I'm kidding.
Tell me your whole life story.
Having the moment back here in Toronto, I mean, you haven't played a ton of tennis this year. What did it mean to play in front of those fans again, suck up that atmosphere, soak in, the cheering and the support that I mean, the pickleball's been great, but I don't know if you get crowds like this supporting you, the Canadians, in the way that you did here.
Oh, totally. It's always unique playing in Canada. And, to have so many people come out for the qualifying was so fun. I know it was like family weekend and kids weekend. So there were a lot of the kids out there, which I always particularly love because I remember being a kid and being a fan, and it meant so much to me to be able to watch players and try to get a picture, try to get an autograph. And
Jerry
like
Park.
And, yeah, of course. So that's why I always spend every moment I can with the fans, and I will sign every last autograph because I was that kid one day back in the day. And, I don't want to like break someone's heart, but it was really special. I felt their support. I really feel the love from Canadian fans. Even today I had a Rogers autograph signing and it was like an hour long and could have gone longer. And
I'll bet
people I think they really just appreciate, let's say what I've done or what other Canadian players have done. And that feels special because it's something I've dedicated my whole life to. So for other people to like respect that and love it, it makes you just really feel like valued, I guess.
You have dedicated so much to this sport. I have to ask, tennis-wise, what do you think is next in terms of future plans?
Yeah.
You played a really tough qualifying match. You were right there, so it seems like you still have a lot of game left there.
I had match point, and this girl qualifies and wins her first round today, so I don't want to talk about it.
We weren't going to say that.
Yeah.
But,
It's okay. I bring up the awkward things all the time. So, yeah, I want to play some more tournaments. So, obviously, I agreed to do pickleball events this year, but the plan was and always has been to do both. With that, I've also done some more TV stuff and other appearances. So I'm kind of juggling 3 jobs right now. I got to pay the bills, so I'm doing it all. But tennis is not something I want to let go of. The pickleball was a great opportunity and exciting to be a part of something different and something that challenges me. But tennis is my one true love and something that I will keep doing. So exactly which tournaments right now, I'm not sure, but I will play more before the end of the year.
That's great to hear that. And we get bugged all the time. I shouldn't say bugged, but asked all the time, hey, what's going on with Genie?
Really?
Are we going to see more of her? Any reason in particular why this year you played a light schedule when it came to the tennis? Was it just the other commitments kind of getting in the way of it, or just kind of taking some time to kind of see how you feel before moving forward?
Yeah, really more the other commitments. I agreed with the PPA to go to a bunch of their events. And so, especially at the beginning of the year, since that was a totally new sport for me, I wanted to kind of focus on that more. So that's why my first tournament was only like in May of this year, tennis. So it was just kind of adding that into my schedule. It also made the travel easier because I'm picking and choosing the tennis events that kind of work more with my schedule. And then the pickleball events are also more only in the US. So it made a lighter year in terms of like the heavy travel grind that tennis players have to go through. And it's a tough life being a tennis player, and there's
and over half your life, as you said.
Exactly.
Really, right?
I've been working since I'm a kid, and it feels like since I'm 12 years old because that's when I moved to Florida to train at an academy, and you're like doing a full-time job at that point. So, I've done that for so long. So it was nice to kind of have a bit of better kind of travel quality of life without going through the insane grind. So that's been nice as well.
I guess before we wrap up, just in terms of the tour and experience now, who do you like to watch? Do you follow still closely, and which players do you still like to keep an eye on who really impress you at this stage of your career?
Yeah, I guess I have a few answers. Like, I will always still admire the greats, of course. I mean, I look at, not this year I'd say for Rafa, but like the last couple years, to still see him so motivated to like play tournaments. He goes to the French Open and I'm like, you've won this 13 times. Like, how do you even like wake up in the morning and have this motivation? It's so inspiring. It's unbelievable how these guys keep doing that. Watching Djokovic win the Olympics made me so happy. This guy, I mean, his dedication to his health and his body and what he can do at 37 years old, and with his knee surgery and making the finals of Wimbledon and then winning Olympics on clay 2 weeks later, is just
Unreal.
He's not only the greatest tennis player of all time, I would throw him in the ring for greatest athlete of all time, because what he's done is just phenomenal. So you always learn from players like that. But I like watching the up-and-comers too and see people shake it up. It's a natural evolution of things. One random player that came to mind who I liked from 2 years ago when I played qualies of US Open, he was playing right before me in the qualies, was Chris Eubanks.
Oh, yeah.
And he does some of the Tennis Channel stuff as well. So
This is great. We've had him a few times
yes.
on the pod. Yeah.
So I love how he also is kind of, broadening his brand and doing different things, not just on the court. And he did well that US Open, and then obviously took off and did amazing last year. And for some reason, I just loved what he's doing with the whole like tennis broadcasting thing. And we've talked about it, and I just think he's cool.
You guys are setting yourselves up for the future for sure. So
Hope so.
Thanks for stopping by and chatting with us again. It's great to have you back on your first ever podcast, and we look forward to seeing you again down the road.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe in 5 years again.
Or sooner, hopefully.
Sooner? Okay.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.